Hi everyone, and welcome back to the workshop. It's 2014 and it's time for a new project, and this project is brought to you by Ron Popeil in the 1970s, because that's what inspired the Christmas presents I made for families and friends this year. And it was bottle cutting, the Popeil bottle cutter. I was sitting around thinking about it one day and I thought, hey, I wonder if they still do this sort of thing. And as it turns out, a lot of people do it. There's tons of videos on YouTube on how to do it. I'm going to add mine to that stack of videos. So you all hang on there. I'm going to reset the camera so you can see the workbench and all the bottles and stuff and the tools that we use. We're going to do a couple techniques, cut a couple of bottles, and then it'll be over. It'll be a nice quick video today. So you stay tuned and I'll be back. Okay, we're set up again, and what I have in front of me here is just a few of the things that I made over the Christmas season. As you can see, we've got just a basic drinking glass. This is made out of a Mike's Hard Lemonade bottle. And just not to be wasteful, I took the top from that bottle and I made myself a little pony shot glass. That's about 1.5 ounces. Out of a root beer bottle, I made a little bit taller shot glass. This is about 3 ounces, maybe 3.5. I haven't really measured it yet. Once again, out of a Mike's Hard Lemonade bottle, we have a little tea candle holder. Now this one I filled with buttons to level out the candle, because of course these bottles have got rounded bottoms. But you can see it'll hold a tea candle very nicely. You can decorate it with whatever you want on the inside, or just plain sand or little pebbles, whatever. But it makes a nice little tea candle holder, and we burn through a lot of these. Out of some wine bottles, can go dual purpose. In this configuration, I've got a little planter, so you can see the top. You take the top of the wine bottle with a little cone on the inside to hold the soil in place, a piece of mesh to keep the dirt and everything from ever migrating into the bottom of the bottle, and then I've got a piece of cotton rag here coming up through to act as a wick for the water. So you just fill the bottom up with water with your water-loving plant in the top, and it stays continuously watered. Or my son likes the fact that that's a darn big drinking glass. It holds iced tea cold, and it's nice thick glass, and it bounces off the granite countertops very nicely. And we have granite countertops in the house, and that's kind of one of the inspirations for this project too, because, well, we keep going through glasses. Out of a wine bottle mid-level there, we've got a nice little candle set up. In this case, I've got a little luminary or a tea candle replacement, and it sits in there, and you place a couple of those on the table and they look real nice. You've got a nice little candle burning inside of them. Let's see if we can do a close-up of that, and so you can. There we go. The base of it here is a couple pieces of mahogany I glued together and just shaped up so they sit real nicely, and you've seen I do a little lathe work. So that's a nice little bit. And then of course, so we don't, whoops, wrong direction. Let's go back. There we go. And so we're not wasteful. The bottom of this bottle can either be a nice candle holder itself. There we go, a nice candle holder itself. Or with a little bit of Dremel work and a grinding tool, you grind a couple dents in it, and it makes a very passable cigar ashtray. And that's what my cigar smoking brothers got this year, along with the candles and everything else, of course. Anyway, so these are just some examples of what you can do. Of course, it's actually unlimited. It's just your imagination. What can you do with a cut-up bottle? Now the question is, how do we cut up the bottle? Well, let's reset and get the tools out and all that good kind of stuff and see what you need. So hang on. Okay, so what do we need to do this project? Well, the tools are pretty simple. You need something to score the glass. Now, a lot of the videos on YouTube show people wrapping acetone-soaked string around a bottle, letting it on fire, and letting that little flaming piece of string create the stress in the glass needed to break it. However, that tends to be a little bit messier. You end up with a coarser break in the glass, and it takes more time to smooth down. So I prefer the scoring method. Now, there's a couple things you can do. You can buy a tool such as this one. I got this. This is the Greenfield or Greenville or Green something glass cutter I got from Delphi Glass. And it ran me about $25, and it's worth every penny of that $25. I really like it a lot. Or you can build your own, as I've done here. And this is just a normal everyday glass cutter that you get at Home Depot, bolted onto a lever arm. Basically, it's a guillotine setup that, well, let's go ahead and use it once and see. So you take your bottle and you lay it down inside of it. Let's get one that I haven't scored yet. Here we go. You get your bottle and you lay it down inside and you adjust it for where you want the score line to be. Here I've got a stop set up, and this is just a couple of 30-degree, a 2x4 that I cut at 30 degrees, and then I cut it in half again to give me, oh, say 8 inches of a platform here. And then I took an L bracket and I placed these guys 90 degrees from the backstop and spaced across the width of the L bracket. So it's pretty simple. It didn't cost hardly anything at all. Major cost was in the glass cutter. And I'll get around to making a plan for this and putting it up on the site. Anyway, so just drop that down and spin the bottle. And that bottle is now scored right around the line here and ready for breaking. Now this one's pretty cool because it works off the top of the bottle. Now I feel like making another drinking glass. So I've set it up about the same height as the one that I already made that I showed you. And this is the store-bought cutter. And basically, you just spin and listen for the slight crunch of the glass as it goes over the cutter. Now the cutter in this is a much better one, and you only have to go around once. You shouldn't go around more than once. The cutter here is much better than the one that I got at Home Depot. This guy's got like 6 heads on it, and they're very, very fine cutting heads. So that score line I just made was very, very fine. Which means, as I stress the glass, it's going to be a cleaner break when I'm done. Now, how do we stress the glass? Well, let me get another camera going because this one's about to run out of battery, and I'll show you. So okay, now we're going to separate a couple of these bottles that I've stressed out, or at least scored. However, to do that, I need to find my matches. Okay, now you can do this with a candle, a propane torch, a butane torch. I kind of like to use my Bunsen burner that I made here. It's just a baby food jar with a hole poked through it and a piece of thread. Now, you need a heat source and you need something to cool the bottle in. So I got my Doc McStuffins bucket of water, and I got my bottle with the score in it, and I got my heat source. So now it's just a matter of slowly, with patience, heating up that score line. Looks like it should pop for me pretty nicely there. There we go. And now the top's off the bottle.
Now, it didn't go perfectly. You can see I've got a bit of a jag right here. It didn't quite go along the score line. But we'll smooth that down during the sanding process, and it'll be gorgeous. Here's the bottle we did using my fixture. So we'll just go ahead and run it across a little bit. And it works out very nicely for me. And that one's ready to go. I can probably just pop it apart just like that. Let's do that one more time, shall we? Now, I don't normally give them a pull because that makes for a more jagged break also. If you just let it crack itself along the line, if you have a little bit more patience, if it doesn't go the first time, you just go back and heat it up again and it'll fall apart by itself. Every once in a great while, you got to give it a little love tap, but not very often. Just like that. All done. Pretty smooth edge on it. It's not going to take much to get this down to a drinking finish. Okay, so now we've seen them how we break them. Let's blow that out. And this gets addictive. Once you start breaking them, it's just so neat that you do it over and over and over again, and you can end up having all kinds of ideas, like maybe a chimney for the tea candle. I don't go in for the champagne style glass myself, but we can get a pretty high little shot glass out of that one. So, like I said, once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. But anyway, we'll go from here and we'll do a finish edge on one and we'll wrap it up. So, hang on. We're back again. It's time to smooth out the edges on some of these. Now, there's a couple ways to go about it. Let's start with where I pull them apart and I get a jagged tooth on it. Well, I don't want to have to sand all the way down to that tooth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a glass cutter, but I'm going to take the key side, and that's a glass chipper. And basically I'm going to get hold of that tooth and I'm going to see if I can nibble it down to my work line. Kind of like that. Now that's out of the way. I can either sand it using a piece of wet dry sandpaper in a pie plate, where you just put it in and start going. And you would start with a real coarse grit and work your way down. So, and you would go and go and go and go. And if you're doing one or two glasses, that's a terrific way to do it. But I've got little kids in the house and 8 adults. We've got 2 residences on my house, but everybody seems to eat in my kitchen. Anyway, if you got that many people and granite countertops, you tend to go through more glasses and need a higher production rate. So I go with a belt sander. Now, I'm cutting some corners on this one. I'm not hooking up a vacuum attachment to it. I'm just going to let the dust settle and I'll vacuum it up later. But I've got a belt sander, and normally there's a disc sander on the side of that, on the side of this. Well, instead, I go to a couple of drums wrapped in different coarseness of sandpaper. So this one's about a 150. This is about a 330. And the belt itself is about a 220 grit, or pardon me, a 120 grit. If I've got real big chunks I need to take off, I'll work with an 80 grit to start. But for today, we're just going to go ahead with the 120 grit. Now, this particular sander has got a lot of use. It's got some glass embedded in it. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to clean my belt using a piece of natural rubber. And of course, sandpaper, sander, and the other two most important tools, well, three including the eye protection I'm wearing. So, hearing protection, breathing, respirator. You don't want to be breathing in glass dust, because that's generally a bad thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and mask up here. Put my ears on, and then we're going to turn down the volume so you don't have to hear any of this. So, here we go. And so there's round one. So what was that? Maybe 5 minutes? Now what I was looking for was the frosting on the edge. Getting rid of the shiny spots. And I've gotten rid of most of the shiny spots along the edge. I've got one little extra one there. And on this one I got a little extra one there. But those will go away in the next stage, because I'm now going to step up to a finer grit sandpaper, and that's going to smooth it even further, and then I'm going to go one finer after that, and that will get me down to a drinking edge. So stand by, let me put on my drums, and you'll get to see more. Alright, I'm back. We've secured the disc sander, or the belt sander, to the table better, so it's not going to walk on me. And I also took the opportunity to change my sandpaper, so I got a fresh piece of 150 grit. Now it's just a matter of doing. So here we go. And there we go. There's two glasses. Now, the total sanding time was maybe 10 or 15 minutes. When I'm set up in a normal environment, that's about all it takes me to make a set of these glasses. And you can see how quick it is to cut, so that's fun. So let me reorient the cameras and turn around, and let's wrap this thing up. Okay, we're all done. Made ourselves a couple of glasses out of a couple of Mike's Hard Lemonade bottles. Now, interesting thing you're going to find out when you start doing this, or if you start doing this, is bottles that we always think of as round are not actually perfectly round. They have very flat sides quite often. The glass itself isn't uniform. It's just kind of interesting when you start playing with bottles how much you learn about it. So anyway, plans for the cutters will be up on the website. The website, remember, it's changed. Now it's www.craftedbychristopher.com. Crafted by Christopher is all one word. Hopefully that is appearing below me if I do it right. And that's about all I have. So you guys keep up the good fight. If you like what you see, give me a comment, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, tell me why you don't like it. Just saying you suck doesn't really help me very much.
other than that, you all be good. Keep up the good fight, and I'll see you next time.